Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we're twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
Cheers. Always happy to have you guys here today. On January 31st, we got some very, very exciting news about the DC universe, and we've already done an episode on DC already. So this is going to be a fantastic follow-up to that episode. Before we get into that, let's start with our starter questions. Nice, Nathan. Your use of the English language is absolutely phenomenal. What have you been watching recently?
I've been watching The Bad Batch for one. And
Nice.
Then we just finished, well, I think I mentioned this on our last podcast. We finished Jack Ryan season 3, which I think was really good. And then I've mostly just been watching a lot of YouTube. I've been getting into this channel that my wife really likes. It's called Sorted Food. And it's 3 or 4 friends. I don't remember how many because they're always like switching places. And they call themselves regulars because they're not chefs, but one of them is a chef. And so they do a lot of competition style stuff. And as we know, internet chefs, or just maybe chefs in general, can be a little pretentious.
I like it. Yep.
I'm just shooting daggers at all of our people who like Starbucks, professional chefs. Who else can I piss off? Probably DC fans by the end of this episode, honestly.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But they do a lot of cool stuff about like, is this a pretentious ingredient, or like food challenges, or they do like a poker face challenge where they have to eat basically disgusting, spicy, burnt, bitter, sour food and try to like have a poker face. And it's really funny watching grown men just be like,
terrible.
Yeah, this is really good. It doesn't really have a lot of flavor. And there's literally tears coming down their face and they're like, no, this is fine. It's really a lot of fun. They're honestly, I think, living the dream, and like they have like their own food app that helps people like plan their own meals. And yeah, I think they're just probably living their best life right now, and I'm really happy for them. But they're also they're our English brothers, so they talk in a little bit of an accent, and it's kind of fun.
I love it. I have been watching also a little bit of Bad Batch. Just got caught up all the way to episode 6, which we'll be doing more episodes on, all of the content. And then what else have I been watching? I've been watching a lot of Thermal on YouTube. He is a StarCraft. He's a previously professional StarCraft player, even though he still plays in like some tournaments and stuff, but he does all these like wacky challenges, and he's absolutely crazy to watch. He's just a really he's a really fantastic player. The things that he can do with these weird unit compositions is amazing. And then other than that, I actually started but haven't finished yet Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and the first 5 minutes of that is a ball buster.
Yeah, dude.
I was like watching it in the gym, and I'm like, "Oh, Nathan, you got to keep yourself together. You're in a public place. Don't cry." And
I teared up a lot during that movie.
I'm like an hour into it so far. Which I'm very excited about and have been really, really enjoying it so far. We
should do a review on that movie. I'll watch it again now that it's out on Disney Plus.
I agree. That's how I ended up watching it, is because I didn't get to see it in theaters, and so I'm watching it on Disney Plus. Just as a little bit of a spoiler for anyone who's watching, from what I know so far, again, I'm not very far into the movie, the bad guys are underwater people. I don't know much about them right now, and I don't like deep water. So deep water is absolutely terrifying. So when they're like, there's that phantom jellyfish that is like eating people out of their water suits, I'm like, I'm gonna hate this. But it's been really cool, so I've been really enjoying that.
Did you see The Way of Water?
No, not yet.
Yeah, there's a couple parts where it's like scary underwater stuff. I don't like, at one point, obviously one of the characters gets chased by a freaky space shark, and there was a lot of clenching involved. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, lots of clenching. Clench. Okay, what games have you been playing?
I have been playing mostly some Call of Duty. A little bit of Minecraft. I've been building a world there. I'm kind of like going back and forth. I've been taking a break from streaming right now just because I'm way too overbooked with everything. And I just kind of came to the realization I need to fill my times with things that genuinely spark joy. And this is one of them because I love talking about all of the nerdy shit that we love to talk about. And so I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft. Sorry. I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft, a little bit of Call of Duty, a little bit of StarCraft, even some Dawn of War 2. Dawn of War 2 and 3 actually went on a Steam sale, so I ended up getting those. So I've been playing through. It's different for sure.
Is it good?
It's different. That's all I can say so far. I'm still in kind of the precursor missions, so like I don't have all my units unlocked, things like that. But there's some like kind of cool upgrade systems that I have been enjoying using so far. But we'll see. So
here's my problem. So you mentioned that there was a Steam sale on those, and I was like, sure, like I'll pick them up. And I actually ended up not picking them up because I watched the gameplay and it just made me want to play StarCraft. Like if I'm going to play an RTS, it's really hard for me to get into something that's less polished than StarCraft 2, which came out like 10 years ago. So
yeah. And StarCraft really is the standard. It 100%
needless to
is.
say, I'm very excited for Stormgate, which is supposed to be the spiritual successor of Stargate. It's not made by the same studio, but a lot of people who made StarCraft 2 are making this game. So I've like signed up for the beta, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for that email.
Yeah, that's going to be super awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of hobby work have you been getting after?
I have nothing out right now. So I got basically no models finished painting in the last week. So we ended up playing a Warhammer game last Saturday. I lost, which was fine.
I also lost.
We played a 3-player game, which 3-player Warhammer gets weird. You have to homebrew a couple rules to like make it fair and balanced. But one of our buddies, we'll just call him Homies because I don't want to dox him on the internet. He beats us a lot. Me and him have gone up against each other quite a few times, and I rarely win.
I've been definitely playing around with some different strategies because I play orcs, and I am the least common denominator of our 3-player friend group. And so what that means is you guys are basing your army size on what I am able to field when I'm fielding everything. Mm-hmm. And my hobby work has actually taken me down the semi-deep rabbit hole of Etsy and eBay. Yeah. So I just got a bunch of models. I don't have them out as well because I was actually focusing on cleaning my desk before we started this podcast.
My desk is a disaster right now.
Yeah. So, but I got a bunch of boys. I have another 20 boys, a whole squad of Ludas coming in as well, nice. Because I'm going to be using them in a orc specific secondary, or at least that's what I did in our last game, is called Get Good Bits. That actually helped me get quite a few victory points onto the table, which was good. Mm-hmm. Did not get me anywhere close to actually winning the game because I did come in last, but it was very fun and I was excited about playing that role. And I'm hoping to kind of use those strategies a little bit more in the future.
So one thing that I alluded to in our Discord conversation, but I didn't actually say, is I'm actually trying to get my hands on an Astraeus tank, like a legit Astraeus tank, off of eBay. But I think it's going to quickly rise out of my price range that I'm comfortable paying.
Yeah.
So it's unlikely, but...
Dude, that thing would vape my kill tank.
Yes, it would.
Because like right now my kill tank is one of the more actually consistent damage dealers at range for my army, because if you guys know anything about orcs and Warhammer 40k, you hit on a 5-up when you're shooting, so you basically hit a very low percentage of your shots,
33%.
Even when you're yes. In actuality, it has not been 33%, but again, the law of large numbers say that if I roll enough shots, I will hit every 1 out of 3. Fun little fact about that. But my kill tank, definitely running the Bursta cannon instead of the Giga Shooter this time really helped me out, dealing some damage. The fact that it's a Titanic unit really took our buddy by surprise a couple of times because I was able to fall back out of combat, murder some of his guys closer to the end of the game, and then actually get some damage done. Wasn't able to get any victory points off of that, but it was kind of fun to go out in a blaze of glory. So that was a really good time.
Yeah. Can you tell our listeners who may not be as familiar with Warhammer, the difference between those main weapons, just in broad strokes? Like, is one more of an anti-tank weapon? Is one more of an anti-infantry weapon?
Yes, exactly. So the Bursta Cannon is a plus 50 points. It does more damage, quite a bit, but it takes fewer shots.
Okay.
Does way more damage. It's like damage 3, AP -2, I think.
Okay,
But
yeah.
to roll to hit, it's 3d6. So it still gets a lot of shots. And in that game, I rolled incredibly well. I think the lowest number of
You
shots
did.
I took was like 12 from that. And so that did me really, really good. So I
That's
was able
really
to
good.
deal a lot of damage with it, which is fantastic. The Giga Shooter takes more shots, but lower AP and lower damage. And it's just kind of like shotguns. So it's more of effective at hitting infantry because when you need, it doesn't do any mortal wounds, by the way. So having that more individual pieces of damage means that that damage actually gets spread out through a squad. But I definitely took the Mega Blaster because we were facing off against a Necron elite army, and I needed to be able to kill things really, really quickly.
Yeah, that was fun going up against his big Nightbringer, which, for those of you who don't know what a Nightbringer is, that's kind of a more obscure Warhammer piece. It's basically the Grim Reaper, with magic powers.
Yeah,
it's very hard
without writing any lore specific stuff on that, which I would love to get into later, that's about as much as we will share. Also, the Nightbringer on tabletop can one shot basically any model, at least that we are currently fielding, I will say.
Yeah, it does a lot of damage. That's a
100%.
lot of damage.
Absolutely. And I think with that, it is time to get into all things DC. So we're going to be kind of hopping into a huge update with James Gunn came out and basically gave a really well laid out newsreel of like basically all the information concerning the future of DC. So we're very, very excited about that. It's a ton of info to cover. So we're gonna zoom through this and get after it.
So something that James Gunn really went into is the difference between, or first off, he highlighted the current state of DC, which is kind of all over the place. There's DC animated works, and those aren't all related. They're not really in the same world. There's some that are more mature, and there are some that are just like the old animated series that we would sit down on Saturday mornings and watch. And it didn't really go into, let's say, romantic relationships between some of the characters. It was just Batman being a badass the whole time. It was great.
Yep.
Not that the new stuff doesn't look cool. It does. I'm actually really excited. This announcement makes me really want to get a subscription to, what is it? HBO Max.
I've been enjoying going through some of the DC content on HBO. It's been pretty fun so far.
Yeah. Netflix can go, shove itself off a window with its new password sharing policies, which we might talk about in our news segment at the very end. But DC moving forward is everything is going to be connected no matter what, except with the one exception, which is DC Elseworlds. So these will be clearly labeled shows in television or shows in cinema that will be labeled as Elseworlds, similar to like what they do in their comic runs. They'll say, hey, this is like the main Marvel or this is the main DC timeline, but this, we want to write this story, but we realize it doesn't fit in, so it's going to be different. So things that will be labeled, oh my gosh, your notes are gross. Yeah, do you want to... You know what? Yeah,
he's reading ahead. I love it. So essentially what the Elseworlds is going to do is this is going to introduce the idea of the DC multiverse, and going into this area. One thing that I really, really liked is James Gunn is going to clearly label everything. So if it is like in the primary universe,
boy, do we love labels.
It's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be so nice. So that's going to be really, really nice going into there. So that way, like us as viewers are going to know, hey, if this is an Elseworlds project, it's in one of the other multiverses. But if it's a non-Elseworlds project, just kind of the standard, then we'll know, okay, these timelines are flowing together. These characters are going to have an impact on each other, and it's going to boost confidence of the viewers moving forward with what the heck is happening. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so some other Elseworlds projects that we're going to see is like Robert Pattinson's Batman. That is going to be DC Elseworlds. That is not the primary Batman we're going to see moving forward, although they are
Interesting.
still going to make another Robert Pattinson Batman. Man, Batman has so many different actors. It's crazy. And now there's going to be
It's
like
quite a few.
still multiple at the same time. But that's going to be clearly labeled. So, like, hey, like, why is this Batman different? Why is he in a different conflict with different people? It's because he's in DC Elseworlds. The same thing is going to happen with the next Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix. So that is why some of these actors are going to continue to reprise their roles while still not being a part of the quote unquote main canon DC timeline. But we still will see them, which is really good because even though I never saw it, which again, kind of want to get an HBO Max subscription. I never saw the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and apparently it was like critically acclaimed, crazy good.
I haven't gotten around to it either, but I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
So, and just for reference, Batman is coming out on October 3rd, 2025, and the new Joker movie is coming out October 4th, 2024.
That is something I would like to highlight really quick. Is James Gunn, when he was like, hey, all of these projects that are coming out, he gave to the day release dates for these projects. So they are not joking around. DC has really like turned a new leaf. Imagine what, like, they laid out a 10-year plan. He's like, cool, this is our 10-year plan right out of the gate. Like, this is what Marvel was doing back with Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
And this is what
100%.
we want to see. We want to see a storyboard that does span a lot of years, because that's what makes for good movies. That's what makes for good television, like everything being connected. We want to see these stories. It provides an excellent opportunity for character development instead of just, and that was one thing that I think that DC really struggled with. It was just origin story after origin story. Not that Marvel didn't also do that in the first several years.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh man, now they're mostly out of that stage, and I'm really happy about it.
Absolutely. One of the things they're also going to cover as well is a really pivotal moment that the reset for this universe is actually going to happen specifically in the Flash movie. This movie comes out on June 16th, 2023. So that is going to be coming out in actually just a few months. So we're going to get this reset, this hard reset point this year. So it's happening. Now, if you guys have listened to the podcast before, which I hope you have, you guys know that I am not a fan of time travel. This is especially evident in actually the Flash TV series over on the CW, because I've actually watched quite a few seasons of that. However, I will say I'm very, very excited that they're actually going to be using this aspect of the Flash's time travel / like multiverse traveling abilities to actually signify the turning of the page of the into this new chapter, which is what they're going to be calling these in the DC universe. So in its current state, also, this was something that I saw off of the Nerdist article that you had sent me, that a lot of this like kind of broke down the news for this, was that there was actually something they didn't verbally say in there, but if you actually paused and read some of the articles, there was in its current state, there's actually an opportunity for Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Zachary Levi to all come back and play their original characters. And if those actors choose not to, then they're going to be filled with other spots. Because I know that was a little bit of a point of confusion with where things were sitting last time, was we were like, hey, why is Jason Momoa in all of these shots? Because we thought he wasn't coming back. And it's actually, there's Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot specifically, the door is still open for them to reprise their roles.
Dude, that's awesome. I actually didn't realize that. I'm really glad you brought that up. I love Jason Momoa. I especially enjoyed his role in Dune. So good. So good.
Yeah, I've liked everything Dune, I've seen him in so far.
Is Dune also on HBO Max?
Maybe. I haven't seen Dune yet, though. I've got so much stuff to watch. It's like, it's insurmountable.
Dune is the best sci-fi movie to come out in the last 10 years.
I'll take your word for it. I've heard many good things. So
moving forward, the next couple of movies we're going to see is Blue Beetle, which I've never heard of Blue Beetle. I'm very much a layperson when it comes to DC comics and the shows, and that's why I'm so excited about all this stuff. Like, I'm not an expert, and I'm really getting into it, and I hope that's like, I'm not pretending to be an expert, but I'm so excited. It's so fun. It's a really good time to be a big movie fan, I think.
Yep, 100%.
Because then we're going to see Blue Beetle and then Aquaman 2, and then that is going to move on to their 8 to 10 year plan, which is starting out with Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. And at first I was like, hold up, is there going to be reading involved? Because I don't read. I don't do that. So, which is going to start out
I can't read.
You know I can't read. Those children would be so offended if they could read.
Holds up a pair of tweezers.
Dude, there's so much just random craft stuff around my desk. I would show you, but that like that TikTok where it's like, show me a video of your desk how it is. I don't want all these RGB setups. I'm like, there's absolutely no way I'm showing you my desk. It's covered in trash. Like, I just got done with a bunch of airbrushing, so it's just disgusting. Anyway, that's not why we're here. Starting off Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, we're going to start off with Creature Commandos, which is going to be an animated series. And James Gunn said he has personally written all the episodes. So it's ready to go. It's ready to start being produced, if it's not already being produced, which I anticipate that it is. And with this, he's saying that they are making a concerted effort to have the same voice actors in their animated series as they will in live action, which is honestly, that's not even something we see in Star Wars. The same voice actor who plays Ahsoka does not play Ahsoka in the live series, although I love Rosario Dawson and Ashley Eckstein. I think they're both great. And
absolutely fantastic.
And I wouldn't trade one for the other because I love them both. But like, it's just an example saying it's not the same person. Yeah. So that's a huge undertaking. I mean, that means the budget that DC is working with for their animated shows, which are typically lower budget for their voice actors. I don't know anything about the industry, so I'm just making this up as I go. I think more of their budget is mostly focused on animating. Animating is incredibly expensive. It's very expensive. So I think that's why they get, see, this is going to come off as rude. That's why they get lower tier voice actors for the animated series, so they can meet the budget for the animation. So DC must be working with just a gigantic budget here.
Yeah. They're going all in.
They're going all in. They really are. And I'm here for it. I'm on Team DC. Not that I'm also not on Team Marvel, but anyway. Then they're also going to come out with a show called Waller. I have no idea who this person is, but what
Amanda, you don't know who Amanda Waller is?
Should I?
So I originally got introduced to the character of Amanda Waller in the CW's The Arrow. She's the director of like the special ops branch of, gosh, I can't even remember what it is. I'm going to get roasted for all the Arrow fans out there, but I haven't watched it in like years. So
the Arrow stands, yeah.
But yeah, she does that. And then she's basically the one that is giving orders to the Suicide Squad.
Oh.
Yep.
She's awesome. She's cool. I remember that. It's been a minute since I've seen The Arrow. Even with how cheesy it was, I really liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first few seasons the most, especially since like I loved the villain Deathstroke, but I could go down that rabbit hole for a while. So
yes. Anyway,
then we also had sorry, go ahead.
Just with Amanda Waller, there is going to be a Team Peacemaker team up involved with that as well. Go ahead.
Then we got the Penguin spinoff show. This is going to be an Elseworlds project, but I'm excited to see more like villain anthologies as well. I just think that's going to add some more flair to the universe, and that's going to give us a more rounded cinematic experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be really cool because as we've seen in the character development for like Wanda Maximoff, watching her go from a bad guy to a good guy to then a bad guy again has been really fun to watch. Quite the roller coaster, and she killed a lot of people, and it's really fun television.
Yeah, I have a lot of mixed feelings because I love her character, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be a bad guy. And now it's like Scarlet Witch is very evil, so.
She's so evil. That's actually something I hope we get a second season of WandaVision, just to like explain a little bit more of her transition from being evil to not. Also, hopefully my headphones don't die. They just gave me the warning beep, and then when I
Beep,
plug
beep,
them
beep,
in,
beep.
they don't work, which is annoying. And I don't have a backup pair, so let's go. Okay, we're also looking at a Superman Legacy film. This is going to be coming out on July 11th, 2025, and all they had for this was just a sketch. It's just a
Yep.
sketch.
Very little info on this one.
Concept art. Yeah, we basically know nothing. I think we can say with a lot of confidence that it's not going to be Henry Cavill.
100%. Yeah. That is, along with the other actors having an open door, he's the only one that's confirmed, like, not coming back.
Yeah.
That I'm aware of so far.
Mm-hmm. So something that James Gunn really has a lot of vision for is not making movies that are all the same. And I think this is going to be a huge leg up for the DC movies over maybe the Marvel movies, as in terms of performance and variety, is that the DC movies are actually going to have variety in the type of movie that they make. I really like the Marvel movies, but they're pretty much all the same as far as the flavor, the genre, settings that they have. It's, a good guy against the world, and because they're superpowered, they overcome all odds, which is inherently compelling cinema. It's really good. But we are coming up on like 15, 20 years of Marvel movies, and this is the kind of diversity I would like to see, which brings me into my next point of Lanterns. This is going to be a true detective style series involving Jon Stewart, who is one of the Lanterns, and also Hal Jordan. I don't really know that much of them. Jon Stewart is not the Daily Show host. Totally different.
different character.
Different character. So I'm really excited about that. And then we're also going to be seeing a show called The Authority, which I know so little about. Like we're
I know nothing.
really getting into the weeds of DC Comics. So we would love, if you guys are big DC fans, like go ahead and just give us like a brief description of, oh, this is what The Authority is. This is what Creature Commandos are. This is what Waller does in the comics, or this is how the Flash has like reset comics in the comics, like he's reset the world. But this is going to be based on the Wildstorm characters, and it has been described to me that the Authority is going to be like the Justice League, where it's a team of heroes. But for this, it sounds like they're going to be anti-heroes, where it's like the Justice League, but more brutal. So they are going to see their objective, and they are going to stop at nothing to get their objective. Unlike people like Superman and Batman who have clear lines, they're like, especially Batman, he's known for, oh, I don't kill people, which he totally does all the time. People don't survive those injuries. And he also doesn't use guns. The Authority they don't have those boundaries. So I think it's going to be really brutal. And that's what I want. That's personally what I want. That's why I really loved Invincible, which is the most brutal show I ever watched. One of the most brutal shows I've ever watched. That's why I like The Boys, because it's just insane. But it's true. It's like, if this is what people would act like if there were superheroes among us, because there are already people who are total crap holes.
Yeah, you basically take regular human behavior and then you added superheroes powers to it. So that's going to be what happens.
And it's not good.
No, people get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
Another show we've got coming up is going to be Paradise Lost. This is going to be about kind of I think this is going to be an origin for not just Wonder Woman, but the origin of the Themyscira. So I'm super excited about this because the Amazons are super cool, super compelling. And if you've ever watched Futurama, there's a little bit of humor in there as well. But I won't go too much into that. Those who have seen those episodes totally get it. And they're like, oh gosh, Nathan's a freak. Just kidding. But I'm really excited to see some background on this and like how the Themyscira came to be this like weird mystical island that like, how did all the Amazons get there? How did they keep showing up? It's fun things like that.
My dude is a freak.
Yep. Then we've got let me see. First in the universe, Batman will be the Brave and the Bold. So we're going to see a
Yes.
Damian Wayne as as Robin, excuse me, and this is going to be the son of Talia al Ghul and Bruce. So this is going to be super cool. Super excited about this. There's a ton of different Robins as well, even in universe. Like not even talking like how many actors actually play Batman.
Yeah.
Like we're looking inside the Batman universe. Robin dies a few times, and so there's different reiterations of him. So I'm excited that we're going to see that. This is going to be based on the Grant Morrison comic book run, and we're going to get a little bit of an intro to the Bat family. One thing that I thought was interesting as well was Booster Gold, another name I was literally had never heard of in my entire life. And I love the premise of this show is that he is. So keep in mind, you guys are going to be. And the thing I'm going to say next is going to sound super hypocritical, but he time travels back in time. But he's a loser from the future, and he's got all this cool tech, and it makes him a superhero because everything's so leveled up. He might as well be a superhero, but he's like traveling back in time so he can use all this tech to essentially be a hero because he knows we don't have that technology yet. And I'm like, this guy sounds like a loser. It's probably going to be pretty funny. I'm going to watch this. So super excited about that. I've mentioned the CW series, the CW kind of line of DC series so far, especially television. Supergirl was one that my wife and I watched a decent amount. We went through it once. It's very campy, just like the rest of it. Yeah. Kind of hard to get over that level of campiness, just because it's super cheesy and it's a little more preachy than the other ones. Even though like some of the issues that they bring up in the show, I'm like, hey, I'm actually with you on this. Like, people are still people. You should treat them nice and stuff. Be nice to your neighbor, kind of stuff like that. But the Supergirl we're going to be getting here is actually going to be a little bit more of a jaded character. And this is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This is going to be coming out as a movie, not a TV show. So pretty excited that she's getting her own movie. And she is raised on Krypton, but had to she's raised on a shard of Krypton is my understanding. And she had to watch all her people die. And so she's going to be coming into this movie with some baggage. So this is going to be pretty fun. Very excited about that. And I just think Supergirl's I think she's a pretty compelling character, just because she's got the same powers, and we see all these villains that somehow match Superman in intensity, and then we're like, wait, but we only have one Superman. So it's kind of nice to have another Kryptonian level hero on the squad. So I think that's pretty fun. Next thing we've got, and kind of one of the last ones that was mentioned in this big release, was we are going to get some footage of Swamp Thing. It's going to be a little bit, it kind of has some dark horror vibes to it. So again, this kind of goes back to James Gunn is wanting to make movies that are different from each other. Like each movie has kind of different genres that they're going to be playing into. So the tone is going to be different, but it's still going to be connected with the universe. Again, I had heard of Swamp Thing, and I maybe have even seen him in like one of the old Batman like cartoon series, maybe, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't even remember if he's a villain or if he's not a villain. Like, I don't know anything about these. So I think overall, my impression on all of these news in these TV shows and movies is like, we're going to get a lot of stuff that I think really the mainstream is not super familiar with. And I think it's going to be really cool to really dive into that extra lore. So I'm very excited about everything coming up in Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that brings us basically to the end. We've spent the last 38 minutes talking about a 6-minute video. So we're going to go. Like, seriously, it was just like, I almost couldn't type fast enough to keep up with listening to the video. I had to listen to it a couple times to get everything.
Same. Yeah. I had to watch through it, take a lot of notes, things like that.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit more about the news. In Warhammer, there's been a lot of cool stuff happening with Warhammer lately, including a new Space Marine Strike Force box called Agastus.
Tell us more about it.
This is going to include a Primaris Lieutenant with a Power Fist, which is lame. I don't care. I really wish it would have been a Lieutenant in Gravis armor, which has one more toughness than the Primaris units.
Nice.
But at the end of the day, 10th edition is probably going to bring a new Space Marine Codex, so I'm sort of holding my breath. I'm not going to get this box. I'm not interested enough in
Interesting.
what's in
Yeah.
there to get it, even though I'm a huge Space Marine player. Additionally, they have 10 units of Space Marine Desolation Squad, which is just every single trooper in this has this like just beefed up rocket launcher. It's super cool, very anti-tank. They also have some anti-infantry options as well as mortar options, so they don't need line of sight. That's huge.
That's going to be really cool.
Yeah, that allows your guys to stay in cover and still shoot. That's a huge bonus. And then my favorite part of this box, which is the biggest thing that I will be missing out on, is the Brutalis Dreadnought, which is just, honestly, it's a Dreadnought with probably more shooting capability, but also it's a melee-focused Dreadnought. So I do anticipate that it's going to be a lot more points than the current Redemptor Dreadnought, which
probably, yeah, for sure.
Which is one of the workhorses of my army right now. Like,
yeah.
It slaps. Like, I run it with the Plasma Exterminator, so I killed one of your brand new units I alpha struck him. I think it was my first turn. I shot him. He was dead.
Yeah. By the way, quick aside here, guys. Moving turn 1 as orcs when you're playing against Necrons and Space Marines blows. I lost my brand new Def Dread in the first turn. Didn't even get to do anything. Just boom, blown off the board. Basically, you suffered like 1 or 2 maybe mortal wounds for overcharging your plasma weapon, and that was it. And I was just like, cool. Like, that was going to be my counter to your Dreadnought, and now I'm effed. So that was fun.
So I'm hoping to get more Dreadnoughts. For our next game coming up in March, I really want to run an entire Deathwing army. So with Terminators, Dreadnoughts, Repulsor Executioners, and potentially that Lord of War Astraeus tank.
If everything works out. Yeah, absolutely.
If everything works out. I'm trying not to spend a ton of money. We'll see. I also got to get my dog fixed, so that's a pretty penny.
That'll do it. I have
to be an adult.
Yeah. We have a lot of things. And I'm like, I want to buy all the models. And then my wife has hobbies of her own. And she's like, I want to do all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, wait, we have to like buy other stuff first.
Oh, wait, we have to pay rent.
Yeah, pretty much. Another piece of news we got, and I think I added this maybe a week or 2 ago, but apparently Dead Space is getting a remake. So one of the pillars of kind of shooter horror genres in the video game industry, Dead Space really made a pretty good entrance to that scene of gaming, and I think really paved the way for a lot of games. I know a lot of people love playing Dead by Daylight. That's a really big one right now. I know a lot of streamers that will play that quite a bit. But I really think Dead Space did a really good job at kind of opening up that genre. So it's going to be pretty cool to see that remake.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that I referenced earlier in the episode is Netflix is changing their password sharing rules, which means devices who are logged on to the same account have to log on at least once to the home Wi-Fi of the account owner every 30 days, or they get just automatically kicked off. So we expect Netflix's viewership and therefore revenue to drop a little bit. Again, a lot of times when people share their Netflix passwords, they do give it out for free. So we don't expect as much of a drop in their revenue, but their viewership is going to go way down.
Yeah, we're on a family Netflix, and I'm just like, cool. Like, we're just not going to see that. Yep. Like, I'm not going to go over to our family's house to be like, hey, we need to log into your Netflix, because honestly, there's not enough good TV on Netflix for me to want to stay.
Nope.
Couldn't tell you the last time I opened my Netflix app.
Yeah, we're the same way. Like, we basically will wait till like there's a couple shows we want to watch. We'll get Netflix for a month, and then we'll cancel it. That's it. That's all we do.
Yeah, pretty much. Another big piece of news that I'm very, very excited about is the new World Eaters Codex finally got dropped. So a lot of people have been making videos about this. Play on Tabletop made a video on this. Auspex Tactics has made like 1 million videos about this. And I just kind of wanted to highlight just a few things that's going to be really, really important about this codex. Obviously, Angron is like the big new bad. Like, he just looks amazing, does a ton of damage. Yeah. He's not very sturdy, but that actually plays into the mechanics and lore of the World Eaters, because they're a legion of Khorne, and Khorne does not care where the blood flows from as long as it is flowing. So
Yep.
this is going to be giving some really, really cool mechanics. So like the Blood Tithe is a new mechanic, which basically gives army-wide buffs for anytime anything dies. Anything on the board, if it dies, it adds Blood Tithe points to your pool, which you can then spend them on. If you get all the way up to 6, you can actually return Angron to the battle if he dies via the Reborn in Blood Tithe strategy. So that's going to be really cool. Another cool ability for some of the units, I believe for the Berserkers, is the Blood Surge. So if a model dies in shooting, that mod or that unit, so again, if the model dies, then the unit gets to move d6 inches closer to the enemy, which is crazy good. So again, this is fueling the idea that like these are berserkers, like just absolutely coked out of their mind, like ready to spill as much blood as possible. And you kill one of them, and that's what they want. Something has died, and that pleases them, and so now they get closer to the enemies, because World Eaters is not a shooting army at all. Nope. It is like melee, and more melee. It's more melee than my Goth's army. So it's like the whole premise is like to get you into combat as fast as possible. They did also get a new unit as well. This is going to be the Jackals. It is a Chaos Khorne cultist. The whole purpose, I believe, of them is to be able to hit stuff if they get into combat, which is going to be pretty cool, but also that they die easily. So this is going to be basically fueling up that Blood Tithe counter so that you can get all these other buffs. So it's like, it doesn't matter if they live or die. The Jackals are basically doing their part for the army. So really, really cool. I personally don't even have the money to get into this codex or this army right now, but it has me pretty excited for it. I will say there's not as much like customization options. It's like if you're running a World Eaters army, it's like you're basically stuck with playing only World Eaters. Like you're not really, it's not really thematically correct to really run any other like sub faction or anything like that. It's just like, nope, it's World Eaters. Like it's kind of like one note, I believe, in that aspect right now. But that's kind of the nice thing about playing on tabletop is if everyone agrees, it's okay. So you can kind of come up with your own lore for like a World Eater splinter group if you'd like, or a warband, a Chaos Warband as they're called. So Minecraft Legends, I heard this the other day on the, what is it called? The Spawn Chunks podcast, excuse me, which is done by Joel Duggan and Pixel Riffs, two of my favorite Minecraft creators. Love you guys both. You guys are fantastic, but gave us an official release date of Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. And this game is free on Game Pass for Xbox and PC. Yes. Otherwise, it's just $40 for the base game. I think it's $50, but if you want to get like extra skins and stuff. But I know like they're not too worried about this. And specifically, this is the episode featuring Mythical Sausage. So it's Joel Duggan and Mythical Sausage because the episode that this piece of news aired, Pixel Riffs was on vacation. So if you guys are looking for the episode that this features in, check that out. I believe it's the most recent episode from when we are recording this.
Yeah, and we'll try to link that on our Twitter as well.
Yeah. So lots of fun stuff. I'm super excited about it. It is a Minecraft RTS, and I just feel like we're going to get some good RTS games here coming up.
Yeah,
so,
we are. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a good time. All right, guys, we are going to finish this one out. Thank you guys so much for listening to us here today. Now, remember where you can find us. You guys can find us on YouTube. You guys can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're Talk About Tatooine on most of those handles. If not, just Talk Tatooine. I believe Talk Tatooine is just Twitter. So Make sure you guys look us up on there. We actually have a lot of cool series coming up. So not only will we do highlights from the podcast, video podcasts over on YouTube, but you can catch the audio version of us on Spotify and Anchor as well. In addition to that, we're hoping to come out with some different lore series. So make sure you guys do follow us on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. Yep. So when we come up with all of the fun stuff and kind of really deep dive into the lore, you guys are not missing a thing. So make sure to catch us here, guys. The podcast releases on Mondays, wherever you guys get your podcasts, except Apple Podcasts. We are working on that currently, but we'll keep you guys informed. Twitter is going to be where you're going to find all of our news updates. So just make sure you guys follow us on all the platforms. It means a ton that you guys are listening, watching, and the best thing you guys can do to support the podcast is share this with a friend. Until we see you guys next time, may the Force be with you.
Close your eyes.